Here's a brutal truth most people avoid. They don't value you when you're right there in front of them. They take your kindness, your effort, your presence, all of it for granted. But the second you stop showing up, the moment you decide to walk away, something cracks. It's like pulling the air out of a room. Suddenly, they can't breathe without you. When you move on, it's not just about leaving, it's about reclaiming your power. The silence you leave behind isn't just silence, it's a roaring void they can't escape. It forces them to confront what they ignored, and that's when the regret sets in. You're no longer chasing, no longer proving your worth to someone who didn't see it. Now they can't stop thinking about you. It's not you who is stuck in the past, it's them. Think of it like this. You were a steady flame in their life, always burning, always there. But when you extinguished that flame and moved forward, the darkness became unbearable. They didn't notice your light until it was gone. This isn't about petty games or revenge. This is about making an unshakable statement without saying a word. Your actions, your absence, carry more weight than any explanation ever could. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. By walking away, you don't just remove yourself from their life, you remove their control over your mind. That's the power play. You've shifted the dynamic, and now they're left to deal with the silence, the questions, and the reality of what they lost. If you've ever doubted your value or questioned whether moving on was the right choice, stick around until the end of this video. There's something you need to hear, a truth that will not only give you closure, but also awaken the strength inside you. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. And if this message resonates with you, let's make it a movement. Type "I am valuable" in the comments below to affirm your worth. Let the world and yourself know that you're done settling for less. If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon so you never miss powerful insights like this. This isn't just a video, it's a reminder that your value doesn't depend on anyone else. By the end of this, you'll not only understand why they can't stop thinking about you, but you'll also feel unstoppable. Let's dive in. Number 1. The void they never saw coming. Walking away isn't just an act of separation, it's an earthquake. The ground they once stood on, solid and steady because of you, suddenly shifts, leaving a chasm they never anticipated. At first, they might shrug it off. They might think your absence is just a temporary change, something they can breeze past without much effort. But then the silence starts to roar, and the spaces you once filled become painfully obvious. You were the steady anchor in their life, even if they didn't recognize it at the time. The good morning texts, the way you made them feel seen, valued, and secure, all of it was a quiet presence that held more weight than they realized. And now that it's gone, it feels like an empty room that echoes louder with every passing day. Here's the truth about absence. It magnifies. The more they try to fill that void with distractions, the more they feel the weight of what's missing. You were the warmth in a cold room. The light in a corner they didn't even notice was dark. Now they're left fumbling in that emptiness, and it's a weight they never expected to carry. It's easy to wonder if walking away was the right decision. Maybe a part of you asks, was it too harsh? Did I make a mistake? But think about it. How many times did you stay when it drained your energy? How often did you compromise your peace just to keep the connection alive? True courage lies in knowing when to let go, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it feels like tearing a piece of yourself away. Growth doesn't come from clinging to what's familiar. It comes from stepping into the unknown and trusting the process. Stoicism teaches us the principle of amor fati, which means love your fate. It's about embracing what happens rather than resisting it. Your choice to walk away wasn't about rejecting them or erasing the moments you shared. It was about accepting that this chapter had reached its end. Staying would have only delayed the inevitable. Walking away wasn't an act of spite or revenge. It was an act of respect for yourself and for them. You gave them the space to feel the weight of their own choices, to finally see what you brought to their life without the safety net of your constant presence. Here's the irony: your absence has made you unforgettable. The harder they try to push your memory aside, the louder it echoes in their mind. You didn't just occupy space in their life, you gave it meaning. You brought calm where there was chaos, stability where there was uncertainty, and now, no matter how hard they search, those feelings can't be replicated. Imagine this: a glass of water seems ordinary until it's gone, and then thirst takes over. That's how they feel. They never noticed how vital you were until they lost access to you. And now, as they sit with their thoughts, they're beginning to understand that your departure wasn't a sign of weakness. It was strength. It was you saying, "I respect myself too much to stay where I'm undervalued." And that's the beauty of walking away. You didn't just reclaim your power, you left an imprint that can't be erased. Your silence speaks louder than any words ever could. It tells them in no uncertain terms that you're someone who values yourself. And now, as they try to piece together what went wrong, they're beginning to see the truth. Your presence wasn't just nice, it was essential. And your absence, it's a lesson they'll never forget. Number 2, the memories that haunt them. When you move on, something powerful happens. It's not just your absence they feel. It's the weight of everything you brought into their life that now lingers in their mind, unshakable and undeniable. The moments you shared, the quiet ways you supported them, the words of encouragement you offered, all of it starts to resurface in their memory. But now it comes with a sharper clarity they can't ignore. They remember how you truly listened, not because you had to, but because you genuinely cared. They recall the advice you gave, not to control or impress them, but to gently guide them towards something better. And then there's the strength you carried in silence, the kind of presence that didn't demand recognition, but provided stability. At the time, those gestures might have blended into the background, lost in the noise of everyday life, but now those moments stand out like bright stars in a dark sky, impossible to overlook. It's like rain after a drought. They didn't notice the rain when it fell steadily, nourishing their life, but now that it's gone, the ground feels barren, and the memories of that rain haunt them. This is the paradox of your absence. It sharpens the edges of the past, making everything you did for them seem bigger, more meaningful. What once seemed routine is now irreplaceable. The Stoics teach us that true virtue lies in acting with kindness, patience, and understanding, not for applause, but because it aligns with who we are. That's what you embodied, whether you realized it or not. You didn't give your time, your energy, or your heart to gain anything in return. You simply lived authentically, being the best version of yourself. And now, the echoes of that authenticity are what linger in their mind. Imagine them sitting alone, scrolling through memories that hit like waves, replaying moments they took for granted. The times you were there to ground them when everything felt uncertain, the subtle ways you made their life feel more secure. It's not about forcing your presence on them, it's about the undeniable value you added. Value they're only now beginning to understand. When you walked away, it wasn't out of anger or a need for revenge. It was because you understood something they didn't. You can't force someone to see your worth. The most powerful thing you can do is step back, focus on yourself, and let them confront the reality of what they lost. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be one." That's exactly what you did. You didn't try to prove yourself. You simply lived as someone they now realize they can't replace. They're left wrestling with the memories and the emptiness your absence has created, and the harder they try to escape it, the more your presence lingers. It's like ripples in a pond. They keep spreading long after the stone has sunk. But here's the catch. This isn't about games or manipulation. It's about staying true to yourself, focusing on what you can control, your growth, your peace, your purpose, and letting everything else unfold naturally. Now they're realizing what they once had, but you're no longer there, and that's the lesson they're left to learn. Your silence speaks louder than words ever could. It reminds them of the rare value you brought into their life, a value they might never find again. And now, whether they admit it or not, you've become unforgettable. Number 3, the weight of regret. Regret doesn't announce itself loudly. It starts as a faint whisper, like a shadow they can't outrun. At first it's quiet, just a passing thought when they see your life from afar. Maybe it's a photo on social media where your calm, steady confidence radiates effortlessly, or perhaps it's when they hear from mutual friends about how you're thriving, moving forward with grace. At some point, the whisper grows louder. They notice the peace you carry, the way you've let go, and the strength you've built. And then it hits them like a wave. What they had, what they overlooked, was extraordinary. This realization doesn't come without its price. Regret has a way of gripping the mind and not letting go. They begin to ask themselves the hard questions. Why didn't I see their worth? Why didn't I fight harder? What if I had done things differently? These questions loop in their mind over and over, casting a heavy shadow over their thoughts. No matter how much they try to distract themselves, those questions don't disappear. The truth is undeniable. Your absence is felt in ways they never imagined. Here's where the power of detachment shines. You didn't move on out of bitterness or revenge. You moved on because you understood a truth. Clinging to the past only chains you to pain. You embraced what the Stoics teach, that we cannot control what's outside ourselves, and trying to do so only steals our peace. You let go, not to hurt them, but to free yourself. And now, whether they admit it or not, that very act of moving forward has made you unforgettable. They see your growth even from a distance. They notice your quiet strength, the discipline that keeps you centered, and the peace that radiates from within you. To them, it might now seem rare, almost unattainable. What they once thought was just calmness in you is now clear. It was inner strength, the kind of balance people spend a lifetime searching for, and they let it slip through their fingers. Regret, though, is theirs to carry. As you've walked your path, you've embraced the truth that the past is unchangeable. It can't be rewritten, but it can teach you. That's where your focus lies. Not on what could have been, but on what lies ahead. And that's the part that stings the most for them. Your detachment, your refusal to be consumed by loss or rejection, is a strength they can't stop thinking about. Picture this. A vase sits on a shelf, unnoticed day after day. It's ignored, just another part of the room, but one day it falls and shatters, and suddenly everyone sees what they've lost, the beauty that was there all along. That's how they feel now. Your absence has turned every small thing you did, every kind word, every gesture of support into something irreplaceable. What once seemed ordinary now feels like a treasure they'll never hold again. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of your journey. You didn't let their actions define you. Instead, you've chosen to let your growth, your confidence, and your self-respect speak for you. That silence, the one filled with purpose and discipline, is louder than any words you could say. And that's why they can't let go of your memory. Their regret isn't your burden. It's a reflection of the value you brought into their life, a value they failed to see in time. But for you, it's just a reminder of the strength you've gained by moving forward. The weight they carry is theirs alone, while you walk lighter, freer, and with a clarity they may never find. Number 4, the anchor they didn't know they needed. Sometimes people don't realize how much they lean on you until you're no longer there. You weren't just someone in their life. You were the steady hand guiding them through their storms. Your calm energy acted as a quiet reassurance, grounding them when everything else felt chaotic. It wasn't about grand gestures or loud declarations. It was about how you brought balance without asking for anything in return. You were the anchor in their turbulent sea, and now that you've moved on, the absence of that stability feels impossible to ignore. Without you, the cracks in their foundations start to show. The chaos they once managed to escape by leaning on your presence now feels amplified. It's in the stillness, when there's no one to calm their inner storms, that they begin to realize just how rare your kind of steadiness truly was. What they once overlooked, or maybe even took for granted, now stands out with glaring clarity. You didn't just offer support, you offered peace. And peace, as they've discovered, is not something that's easily replaced. Imagine a lighthouse on a dark, stormy night. Its light isn't loud or forceful. It simply shines, offering guidance to those lost at sea. That was you, and now, with that light gone, they're left to navigate the storm alone, realizing how much they relied on your unwavering presence. It's not just about missing you, it's about recognizing that what you brought into their life wasn't ordinary. It was something extraordinary, something they didn't fully appreciate until now. Stoicism teaches us to remain unshaken, to be the calm within the chaos. By embodying that philosophy, you became more than just a person in their life. You became a source of strength, a rare kind of clarity that left an undeniable mark. The truth is, once someone experiences that level of stability, it's not easily forgotten. Your absence doesn't just leave a void, it leaves a lesson about the value of emotional resilience, steadiness, and calm in a world full of noise and instability. As you've moved on, you've shown the power of detachment, not in bitterness, but in honoring your own peace. You've let go of what no longer served you and focused on your own growth and clarity. And now, from the outside looking in, they can see it. They see your purpose, your calm confidence, and the way you've thrived without them. It's not something they can ignore, and it's not something they can easily replicate. The steadiness you offered wasn't just a trait, it was a rare energy, one they may never find again. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the foundation you've built your life on, and it's the reason they can't stop thinking about you. Your ability to stay grounded, even when everything else felt uncertain, is a quality that stays with them. It's not just a memory, it's a reminder of what they lost. Now, as they replay those moments, they're left wondering if they'll ever experience that kind of stability again. The irony is that while they struggle with this realization, you've already moved forward. You've learned the value of calm and resilience, not just for others, but for yourself. And that's the quiet power of your absence. It doesn't scream, it resonates. It reminds them in ways words never could that once someone like you has touched their life, the memory lingers. You were the anchor, and now they're adrift, grappling with the weight of what they let slip away. Number 5. The questions that echo in their mind. Time has a way of turning unanswered questions into an endless loop. Their mind, once a place of certainty, becomes a battlefield of what-ifs. What if I had handled things differently? What if I had appreciated them more? What if I hadn't pushed them away? These aren't fleeting thoughts. They're ghosts that linger, haunting them in their quietest moments. Each question is a reflection of what can't be undone, a reality they now have to face. Your silence, intentional and firm, isn't just the absence of words. It's a presence, a powerful and unshakable statement. It doesn't need explanation, and it doesn't seek validation. It speaks for itself. In Stoicism, silence often holds more weight than words because it forces others to confront their own actions. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By choosing to let go and focus on your growth, you've reclaimed your power, and in doing so, you've shifted the dynamic, compelling them to look inward. Now they're beginning to piece it all together. They're starting to understand the value of what they took for granted. Your kindness, patience, and steady presence weren't things they were entitled to. They were gifts, freely given. Gifts they assumed would always be there. Your silence has become a lesson louder than any argument you could have made. It forces them to revisit the moments they dismissed, to examine the choices they made, and to confront the role they played in the distance that now separates you. Think of it this way. Your departure was like removing a single thread from a tightly woven tapestry. At first, it seems like a small change, barely noticeable. But over time, the entire structure begins to unravel, exposing its flaws. Your absence has done the same. It's revealed the cracks they ignored, forcing them to see how much your presence held everything together. They can't run from the questions now. They can't ignore the impact of their actions or their inactions. Your decision to move on wasn't about revenge or proving a point. It was about honoring your own peace and self-worth. By stepping back, you've shown them what true strength looks like. You've demonstrated the Stoic principle of controlling what you can and releasing what you can't. And in that quiet, unwavering confidence, you've set an example they can't ignore. Now they're left wrestling with the realization that your worth wasn't something they could measure until it was gone. The energy you brought, the balance you provided, and the care you showed weren't just fleeting gestures. They were rare and now irreplaceable. The silence you left behind isn't just a void. It's a mirror reflecting back all the moments they overlooked and dismissed. Imagine a book they thought they'd finished reading, only to discover that every page lingers in their mind. That's what your absence has become. They keep returning to those chapters, trying to decipher what went wrong, rereading the story they thought they'd closed. But here's the truth. Those pages are no longer in their hands. You've moved forward, and the lesson they're left with is this. You were never theirs to take for granted. This isn't about looking back for you. It's about looking ahead. Their regret, their unanswered questions, and their constant replay of the past are no longer your burden to carry. By stepping into your own growth, you've chosen a path of clarity and self-respect. And now, as they sit with their thoughts, they're left with the echoes of their choices and the stark realization that you were the chapter they closed too soon. Number 6. The glow they can't ignore. What they see now is a version of you they never fully appreciated before. You've grown, evolved, and transformed into someone they didn't anticipate. You're not the same person they once knew, physically, emotionally, mentally. You've worked on yourself, and the results speak louder than any words ever could. Your confidence is undeniable now. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you tackle challenges, and the way you show up for your own life. Whether you realize it or not, they're watching, and every step forward you take makes them pause. Maybe it's the way your career has started to soar, the discipline you've shown in prioritizing your health, or the way you've committed to personal growth. Whatever it is, they see it with every milestone, every achievement, and every moment of you thriving. Their regret deepens. They wonder what might have been if they'd valued what you brought to their life or chosen to stay. But let's get one thing straight. This isn't about them. Flourishing isn't about proving anyone wrong or making someone regret their choices. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of rising above any setback, any rejection, or any doubt. A stoic individual doesn't grow to seek validation or win someone back. They grow for themselves. They understand that true strength comes from within, from mastering emotions, focusing on what can be controlled, and leaving the rest behind. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, the most powerful response to loss, rejection, or disappointment is to thrive, not out of spite, but from a deep commitment to your own journey. That's what you've done. You're not looking back, wondering if they've noticed. You're too busy building a life rooted in purpose and authenticity, a life that feels right for you. And here's the thing. This version of you, the one who has moved forward and grown, is magnetic, not just to them, but to everyone you encounter. People are drawn to those who radiate self-assurance and a sense of direction. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up every day as the best version of yourself, with all your flaws and all your progress. It's that energy, the energy of someone who knows their worth and doesn't waver, that makes you unforgettable. If they can't stop thinking about you now, that's not your concern. That's their journey to navigate. Your journey is to keep building, keep thriving, and keep moving forward. Not for them, not for anyone else, but for yourself. Growth isn't a performance, and it doesn't need an audience. It's a quiet, steady process of becoming the person you were always meant to be. Picture this. A tree standing tall through all seasons. It doesn't need applause for growing. It grows because it's rooted deeply in the ground, nourished by the elements. That's you. Whether someone notices or not, you thrive because that's who you are. And here's the beauty of it. Your evolution doesn't just inspire others, it reshapes you. It builds a life filled with meaning, direction, and resilience. If they left wondering what they lost, that's their reality to confront. But your reality is a life that keeps getting better because you've chosen to prioritize your growth. Every step you take forward adds to the glow they can't ignore, but more importantly, it's a glow that belongs to you. This isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of the version of you they'll never forget, and the version of you that doesn't need them. Number 7. When absence speaks louder than presence. Sometimes your presence in someone's life feels like the air they breathe, steady, constant, and often unnoticed. It's only when you step away that they realize just how much they depended on it. Your absence isn't just about no longer being there physically. It's about the emotional void you leave behind, the strength you carried, the calm you brought, the security you offered. All of it is gone now. And for them, that absence speaks louder than any words ever could. Your absence magnifies what they once took for granted. It's not about bitterness or playing games. It's about honoring your own value. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." That's what you've done. By walking away, you've stopped trying to prove your worth through words or actions. Instead, you've embodied it silently, steadfastly, and unapologetically. Now they're left to confront the mirror of their own choices. When you were there, it was easy for them to overlook the impact you made. Your steady presence may have blended into the background like the shade of a sturdy tree on a hot day. People rest beneath it without a second thought. But the moment that tree is gone, they're left exposed to the harshness of the sun, realizing how much they relied on its shelter. That's the power of your absence. It's subtle, but undeniable. As they sit with this void, questions begin to haunt their minds. Why didn't I value them more? What would life have been like if I had done things differently? These aren't fleeting thoughts. They're echoes that grow louder with time. And here's the irony. It's not anger or resentment that fuels these reflections. It's the realization of what they had. It's the growing understanding of how much your presence brought into their life. Stability, reassurance, and a calm they didn't find anywhere else. But this isn't your burden to carry. Their regret is theirs alone. Your role isn't to look back or wonder what they're feeling. It's to keep moving forward with clarity, purpose, and dignity. By letting go, you've chosen peace over chaos. You've shown that you don't need to chase what isn't meant for you. That quiet strength, that resilience, is now a testament to who you are. Think of it like a lighthouse, standing tall, unwavering, and guiding from a distance. It doesn't chase the ships, it guides. It simply shines. That's what you've become. Your absence doesn't scream for attention. It simply shows the depth of what you brought to the table. And whether they admit it or not, they feel it. You might wonder if moving on was the right choice, but ask yourself this. How long were you giving more than you received? How much of your energy was spent trying to be seen, understood, or valued? Walking away wasn't weakness, it was strength. It was choosing yourself when someone else didn't. And now, as they reflect on the gap you left, they're beginning to realize the truth. Losing you wasn't just losing a person, it was losing something rare, something they may never find again. So keep moving forward, not out of spite, but because that's what growth demands. Your absence isn't just a void, it's a lesson. It shows them the impact of a presence like yours, and it reminds you of the power in choosing yourself. Trust me, your absence is already speaking volumes. You don't need to say a word. Number 8, when they test the waters. They begin to reach out, hesitant, almost unsure. It's subtle, almost imperceptible at first. Maybe it's a sudden like on an old photo you forgot existed, a casual text that feels oddly out of place, or a mutual friend mentioning that they've been asking about you. These gestures, as small as they may seem, carry a weight far greater than their surface suggests. They're not random, they're deliberate. It's their way of testing the waters, of seeing if the door they once walked away from might still be open. But here's where things are different now. Their attempts are met with your calm indifference. You're not playing games, and you're certainly not angry. The truth is, you've moved on. You've found something most people spend a lifetime searching for, peace within yourself. Your focus is no longer on the past or the endless possibilities of what could have been. Instead, it's firmly fixed on the future you're building. This isn't about spite or vengeance. It's about protecting the serenity you've worked so hard to create. Detachment isn't coldness. It doesn't mean you've hardened your heart or turned bitter. Quite the opposite. It's wisdom in action. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You've taken that lesson to heart. You're not shutting them out to hurt them. You're simply prioritizing your inner peace over the fleeting satisfaction of external validation. Imagine a bridge, once sturdy and full of promise. It was a path that connected two lives, but sometimes that same bridge leads only to chaos if crossed again. A wise person doesn't burn bridges out of anger, but they also don't walk back over them if they lead to places they've outgrown. That's what you've come to understand. By stepping back, by focusing on your own growth and the path ahead, you've created space, not just for yourself, but for them to reflect on what they lost. And in that silence, they begin to see what they once overlooked. Your calm, your focus, your unwavering sense of direction. It's not what they expected. Your absence has become louder than any words ever could. It's not about making them feel regret or longing. It's about living authentically, leading with clarity, and letting things fall into place as they will. Think of it like a lighthouse, standing tall on the shore. It doesn't move toward the ships. It doesn't beg to be noticed. It simply shines, offering guidance while standing firm in its place. That's you now. Whether they choose to navigate back toward your light is not your burden to carry. What matters is that you've chosen to stay rooted in your purpose, your strength, and your peace. Their attempts to reconnect are not about you giving in. They're about you continuing forward, letting your actions and your growth set the standard. Whether they learn from your silence is not something you need to control. It's their journey to navigate, their lesson to uncover. Your journey, on the other hand, is about freedom. It's about moving forward with strength, clarity, and grace. You've stopped chasing what isn't meant for you. You've let go of the chaos and embraced the calm within. That's the power you now carry, the kind that doesn't need words to make its presence felt. And in that silence, in that strength, you've set yourself free. Number 9. When admiration replaces doubt. At first, they might not have noticed the qualities that set you apart. Your discipline may have been mistaken for rigidity, your resilience for stubbornness. But as time has passed and you've shifted your focus toward your own growth, they're starting to see you in a new light. The same traits they once dismissed now shine like rare gems, impossible to ignore. Your calm under pressure, your quiet strength, your ability to build a life of value, all of it lingers in their mind, drawing admiration they never expected to feel. Every time they hear about your progress, it stirs something deep within them. Your discipline, once brushed aside, now looks like a reflection of someone who knows exactly who they are and what they want. Your resilience, once misunderstood, now feels like an anchor in a world full of fleeting connections and shallow intentions. Slowly, they come to realize that the depth of character and presence you bring into a room are not just rare, they might be irreplaceable. It's often said that people don't value what they have until it's gone, and this is no different. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. That's exactly what you've done. You stopped chasing validation from them and from anyone. You turned your attention inward. You stopped trying to prove your worth and instead chose to refine it. In doing so, you've become someone of substance, a person whose value doesn't hinge on external approval, but is rooted in authenticity and inner strength. Your absence isn't a tactic or manipulation. It's simply the result of living a life focused on what truly matters. You've chosen to invest in your peace, your growth, and your future. This choice, this unwavering commitment to your path, has made you magnetic in a way that no words or actions could. And now they can't help but admire you. But here's the twist. That admiration comes with a bittersweet edge. It's tangled with regret, because the person you've become, the person you've always been, may no longer be theirs to hold. Imagine a diamond that lay unnoticed in plain sight. At first, it seemed unremarkable, perhaps even ordinary. But once removed, once seen from a distance, its brilliance becomes undeniable. That's how they see you now. The qualities they once dismissed have become the very things that set you apart. And as much as they may try to move past it, your presence lingers in their mind. It's not about bitterness or longing. It's about the stark realization of what they lost. Your greatest power lies in how you carry yourself. It's not about chasing or proving. It's about showing up for yourself every single day. Strength, calm, and self-respect are magnetic forces. They draw people in, even those who once doubted your worth. But here's the beauty of it. You're not doing this for them. you never were. This journey was always about you, about becoming the best version of yourself, because it's who you are. This transformation isn't just something they admire, it's something they can't escape. But the most important part? You know your worth now, and that's a power no one can take from you. Their admiration is their journey to navigate. Yours is to keep growing, keep thriving, and keep showing up for yourself. Not because someone's watching, but because it's who you are. And that, in the end, is the most irresistible thing of all. Number 10. The silent battle of jealousy. Jealousy is a quiet, relentless force. It creeps in when they see a picture of you smiling with someone new or hear from a mutual friend about how your life has moved forward. It's not just a fleeting pang, it's a heavy, unshakable weight pressing on their heart. They begin to compare themselves to this new person, dissecting every detail, every interaction, and every moment you now share with someone else. Questions flood their mind. What do they have that I didn't? Why couldn't I hold on to the version of me that someone else now gets to enjoy? This isn't simply about seeing you with someone new. It's the realization of what they let go, the irreplaceable qualities they once had access to and didn't fully appreciate. That's where jealousy intertwines with regret, forming an inner turmoil they struggle to escape. But here's the truth. Your growth, your progress, and your happiness aren't about them. They're about you. You've moved forward, not to spark jealousy or regret, but to honor your own path. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This isn't about bitterness or proving anything to anyone. It's about living a life so full of meaning, strength, and authenticity that it naturally inspires admiration. A Stoic doesn't linger in the past or try to control how others feel. They understand that true freedom comes from focusing on what they can control, their mindset, actions, and values. Think of a river that flows steadily, shaping the rocks it passes over, creating new paths without resistance. That's you. You've embraced the flow of life, accepting what's outside your control and redirecting your energy toward building something better. And this movement, this quiet resilience, is what makes your presence unforgettable. The real power lies in what your growth symbolizes. It's not about forgetting the past or pretending those moments didn't matter. It's about recognizing that their chapter in your life is over and choosing to write a new one filled with intention and self-respect. As they grapple with the realization that someone else now gets to experience the version of you they once overlooked, they're left to wrestle with their own choices. That's not your burden to carry. Imagine a fire that burned steadily, providing warmth and light. Over time, its glow was taken for granted, dismissed as constant and unchanging. But when that fire moved on, the chill it left behind was unavoidable. That's the impact you've made. Your growth has left a lasting impression, not because you chased after recognition, but because you chose to rise above the noise and focus on yourself. This isn't about revenge or making them miss you. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable of thriving, no matter the circumstances. And as you continue to move forward, you're not just letting go of the past. You're stepping into the version of yourself you were always meant to be. Your silence, your progress, and your calm are louder than any words you could say. If they can't stop thinking about you, it's because your transformation is undeniable. You're no longer defined by the relationship or the rejection. You've become someone rooted in purpose, someone who no longer chases but attracts by simply existing as your best self. So as you reflect on this journey, ask yourself, what's the next step you'll take toward becoming the person you're proud of? If this resonated with you, remember to share it with someone who might need the reminder that their growth is their greatest power. Stay committed to your path. The best chapters are still ahead.